Y'all ready? Call a regular city commission meeting to order. Please rise for the invocation, followed by the pledge of allegiance to the flag of our country. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for the opportunity we have here this evening. Lord, we ask a special blessing on this city commission. You look after us and guide us and direct us, Lord. The decisions we make tonight are in the best interest of our citizens. Lord, we also ask you to look after our first responders, Lord. We're so blessed in this town to have such great first responders to keep us safe. So please look after them and their families. And the Lord also watch after all their employees and their families and keep them safe. For all these things we ask you in His precious heavenly name. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to welcome all here this evening. First on the agenda this evening are our regular minutes from June the 12th. They have been distributed. Any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, we need a motion.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion for approval. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Second reading of public hearing, proposed ordinances. Ordinance 25-15.
Ordinance 25-15, an ordinance of the City of WinterGarden, Florida, amending Section 110-60, governing expedited process for issuing building permits in accordance with Section 177.073 Florida statutes, creating Section 110-126, establishing registry of qualified contractors to assist the city in expediting review of preliminary plat applications, providing for severability, conflict codification, and an effective date.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. Shane Freeman, Community Development. Ms. Carson is on a well-deserved vacation, so I'll be handling her agenda items. If you recall, at the first reading of Ordinance 25-15, this updates the section of City Code that deals with the issuance of residential building permits prior to final plat approval. Specifically, the ordinance will update Section 110-60, that is the city's subdivision code section, to align with the requirements of Florida Statutes 177.073. The code update was reviewed by staff as well as the city attorney, and believe that the ordinance meets the requirements of Florida Statutes 177.073, and for that reason, recommend approval and adoption of Ordinance 25-15, and with that, staff is available for any questions.
Any questions from the commission? This is a public hearing. We will open a public hearing if anyone wishes to speak. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing.
I do have one question.
Yes.
Are we looking for engineering firms, contractors? Who are we looking to utilize for this?
I'm not actually sure about that. I'm not privy to
You
that
can
information. This is going to adopt that part of the section code, so we'll establish that after the fact, and then we'll figure that part out.
Okay.
We do have a secondary provider that already provides some services to us that we will continue to utilize. And then if we need to expand, we'll bring forth recommendations.
Any other questions? If not, we need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carried unanimously. Ordinance 25-16.
Ordinance 25-16, an ordinance of the City of WinterGarden, Florida, rezoning approximately 0.20 plus or minus acres located at 522 South Woodland Street, west of West Woodland Street, east of South Main Street, north of East Story Road, and south of East Finding Street, from City R2 Residential District to City RNC Residential Neighborhood Commercial District, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
The subject property, totaling 0.20 acres in size, is developed with a 1,725 square foot home. The property has a future land use designation of NC Residential Neighborhood Commercial and is currently zoned R2 Residential District. The applicant is requesting to rezone the property to RNC Residential Neighborhood Commercial. The RNC zoning is consistent and is allowed under the property's future land use designation of NC Residential Neighborhood Commercial. Staff has reviewed the request and finds that it is consistent with the city's comprehensive plan and all city code requirements, and therefore recommend approval and adoption of ordinance 25-16 to rezone the property from R2 residential to RNC residential neighborhood commercial. That staff is available for any questions.
Since our first reading with those on that side of the street is mostly residential, the neighbors still haven't heard anything from the neighbors on that, they're okay with it?
Nonsense, yes.
Okay.
Not aware, and also, once they come back to actually do the conversion of the property, there will be a separate community meeting held.
But you'd rather, yeah, as Barney would say, nip it in the bud.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. This is a public hearing. We will open the public hearing if anyone wishes to speak. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing. We need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved. Ordinance 25-16. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Ordinance 25-17.
Ordinance 25-17, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of WinterGarden, Florida, vacating a portion of the plat dedicated drainage and utility easement over a portion of lots 19 and 20 of the WinterGarden Commerce Center plat, Phase 1, according to the plat thereof, as recorded in the plat book 72, page 133 and 134 of the public records of Orange County, located at 620 and 630 Garden Commerce Parkway, owned by WG6 Holdings LLC, as more particularly described here, and providing for an effective date and recording.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Yes, the applicant and owner is requesting to vacate the drainage utility easement that runs between the properties located at lot 20 and lot 19 of the Garden Commerce Center subdivision. Once the easement is vacated and the lots are combined, the applicant intends to build a new 16,956 square foot office warehouse building on lot 19 that will be combined with the existing building on lot 20. Staff has reviewed the request and finds that it meets all city code requirements and recommends approval and adoption of ordinance 25-17. With that, staff is available for any questions.
Questions from the commission? And that's playing cards, right?
All I can with this.
Yeah, wow. Okay. No questions? This is a public hearing. We will open the public hearing if anyone wishes to speak. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing. We need a motion.
Move to approve ordinance 25-17.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Regular business, resolution 2505.
Resolution 2505, a resolution of the City of WinterGarden, Florida, relating to the provision of fire rescue services, facilities, and programs in the City of WinterGarden, Florida, describing the method of assessing fire rescue assessed costs against assessed property located within the City of WinterGarden, directing the preparation of an assessment roll, authorizing a public hearing, and directing the provision of notice thereof, providing a vacancy adjustment procedure, providing for severability conflicts codification, and an effective date.
Who's?
I'm going to start out, yes, sir.
Yes,
So,
sir.
good evening, Mayor Commissioners. If you recall back in January, the commission gave authorization for staff to proceed with updating the fire assessment that was previously adopted back in 2008. The purpose for this was to allow us to have an option of funding for fire services, considering some of the following pending impacts of Amendment 5, which will be better known next week once we get the certification of taxable value. Obviously, we've all been experiencing the inflationary environment, and we also have some external labor market pressures that have been compelling all cities, not just isolated to us, to raise salaries and benefits, to retain fire personnel. And now we have the Florida House Select Committee that is currently evaluating the possible elimination or some sort of property tax relief. So the study is complete. We do have our consultant from Beniche here to present the findings. She does have a PowerPoint presentation. The resolution that we're asking you to adopt tonight informally adopts the study. You're not actually adopting or implementing the assessment. What this will do will allow us to formally send out notices if this resolution is approved, with the intent of coming back before you in August with some sort of final recommendation. It doesn't have to be at the full amount that's going to be presented here tonight. It can be that amount, it could be a less amount, it could be zero ultimately at the end of the day. The goal with that is we want to be able to do some community engagement meetings, and we have those tentatively scheduled for July 22nd and July 29th. And with that, I'll turn it over to Gwen.
Yes. Good evening, Commissioners. I'm eager camp to finish. The presentation has a brief background that I will skip because Mr. Williams gave a much better background, and then gets into a technical study and then the next steps. So fire assessments are a type of non-ad valorem special assessment to fund the capital and operating costs associated with provision of fire protection and first responder services. They are very common in Florida. They've been upheld by both lower courts and the Supreme Court. Florida courts also accepted multiple methodologies as valid, and they are typically collected on the annual tax bill. The methodology requirements for fire assessments are that they need to show benefit to property. They need to charge only for fire protection and first response or basic life support. They cannot be collecting for advanced life support or transport. And then the demand component establishes the portion of the rates and revenues from each land use, and it has really two components. One is availability, one is actual utilization of the resources. And again, in addition to the two-tier approach, both the residential and non-residential rates are also tiered by square footage groupings. So there are really four components. We start with establishing the accessible budget, review the demand by land uses, allocate the budget among land uses, and then look at the property units and finally calculate the rates. Again, accessible budget measures the portion of the full fire department's budget that can be recouped from a fire assessment program. And again, costs associated with advanced life support services are excluded. So the department's requested budget is about $13.8 million. The study reviewed the expenses, removed ALS-related expenses, as well as any dedicated revenues like grants and so forth, and then added expenses related to assessment program. So the total accessible budget ended up being about $12.4 million. But once you take out those assessment-related expenses, what will be collected is more like around $11.5 million, 80 to 85% of the full budget. Demand by land use is calculated by reviewing incident data over the past 10 years. And we don't just look at the frequency, but also we wanted to incorporate full resources utilized by each incident. So number of personnel, number of vehicles, how long each incident lasted, and so forth. And again, ALS-related incidents were excluded. So when we look at that analysis, the resource distribution is shown in this chart, and you can see that residential land use has the highest resource utilization, followed by institutional and commercial land uses. We then take that $12.4 million and distribute among the land uses using those percentages. And then the land use units come from the property appraiser database. It's dwelling units for residential and square footage for non-residential. And in the case of vacant land, it's the parcels. So then when we talk about having two components, availability base and as well as the resource utilization base, what we need, we want to recognize the fact that even if a property never calls the fire department, it benefits from the availability of the fire department and that readiness factor. And that's because with the availability of the department, there's discounts on the insurance premiums, property values are higher, the the safety element is higher. So there are a lot of benefits to that property, even if they never call the department. So we distribute 70% of the budget equally among all units to recognize that availability factor. And then the 30% is distributed based on their actual utilization of the service. And the reason we use 70-30 is because industry research shows that any station that's active more than 30% of the time starts having difficulties in terms of fatigue, inability to address concurrent events, lack of training, and so forth. So basically, they are saying they are not supposed to be active more than 30% of the time. And of course, when we say time, that's 24 hours in their case. So then, based on those calculations and the tiering, the residential assessment rates ends up being about $333 for smaller homes to $519 for larger homes, 3,500 square foot or more. And you can kind of see the range. In the case of non-residentials, we go through a similar type of process, and there are three main categories: commercial, industrial, and institutional. And the calculated, and there are about 32 tiers. And the rates range anywhere from $400 per parcel to $334,000 per parcel. This slide shows some examples. So, for example, a commercial parcel that's up to 2,000 square feet of building on it gets charged about $550, whereas if they have 300,000 or more square feet, then they get charged about $166,000 per parcel. And then industrial ranges from $400 to $121,000, and institutional is from $1,100 to $334,000. In terms of vacant land, the rate is per parcel, and it ends up being about $366. And this slide shows you all the rates sort of as a summary slide. And again, these are the maximum rates. So this is not necessarily what you have to adopt, but just the study establishes the maximum rates under the legal requirements of the methodology. So the next steps are today, we are here to answer any questions, and also your staff is looking for the approval of the preliminary resolution. With the preliminary resolution, we can mail the first class notices, which is required, by law. And basically, it reads that these are the maximum rates your property can be charged. But the actual rates can be adopted, or will be adopted in August 14 and can be lower depending on your policy decisions. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions right now? Sir?
I guess we're just trying to get ahead of the legislature and be prepared if they didn't change anything. Obviously, I think they're going to, but would we need to do this if nothing changed?
Well, obviously, when we met last year, I think we talked about the need to have some options available to us because we kind of started seeing some of the trends not trending downward, I guess, if you will, especially as it comes to the external pressure for wages. So we wanted to have this option available to us because we also knew that Amendment 5 was likely to pass at that point in time, and we didn't know what the impact that would be. So you got multiple factors that we're trying to hedge against. What's likely to come a little bit down the pipe, and then you've got the realization of every year you're faced with trying to compete with external agencies and other agencies that can pay significantly higher wages, which is constantly driving up its costs. If you were to kind of just take a look at our public safety costs as a whole, combining both police and fire versus our ad valorem tax collection, you're probably, as presented, and we haven't scrubbed the budget at this point in time, you're looking at about a $12 million deficit.
Okay, so we're gonna have to do something, we just don't know how much based on.
Not sure what we need to do yet. Correct.
When the legislature, if they don't do nothing, we'll be able to do less. But if they do something drastic, we'll have to figure that out then. Okay.
Any other questions? Chief, anything you wanted to say?
No, I think she covered it pretty well for me, sir. Thank you.
Very good, sir. Anything else, Mr.
I have nothing further to add. Staff would recommend approval of the initial resolution.
Okay, any other questions from the commission? We're just approving the study right now. So, if hearing none, we need a motion.
Move to approve resolution 25-05.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Recommendation to approve request for proposals. Chief?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Tonight I bring forward for your consideration a staff recommendation to award RFP 25-001, which pertains to the construction of our new Fire Station 21. The request for proposal was originally posted on March 16th of this year. A mandatory pre-submittal meeting was held shortly thereafter and was well attended by several different contracting firms, demonstrating a strong interest in this important project. All submissions were due by May 23rd of this past year. By that deadline, the city received 4 comprehensive proposals from the following qualified contractors: CPPI, Charles Perry Partners Incorporated, McCree Design Builders Incorporated, MCI, Mulligan Contractors Incorporated, and DE Scorpio Corporation. Following the close of the submission period, a selection committee conducted a thorough and independent review of each of the submittals. On June 6th of 2025, the committee concluded its evaluation and scored each firm based on a criteria that is outlined in the RFP in page 51. MCI, Mulligan Contractors, received the highest score of 451.5 points and was ranked the most responsive bidder. Based on the evaluation process and the committee's recommendations, staff respectfully recommends awarding the contract of construction services for Fire Station 21 to MCI Mulligan Contractors Incorporated. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions from the commission? Isn't Ocoee getting ready to build a fire station?
I think they're in the process of going through design right
Right now, so they haven't got to who, yeah, okay. Just curious. Any questions? Not, we need a motion.
Motion to approve the award to MCI for Fire Station 21.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries unanimously. Thank you,
very
sir.
much. Thank you.
Thank you. Recommendation to authorize the mayor and police chief to execute the West Orange Narcotics Task Force agreement. Yes, sir, chief.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. It's time to renew our agreement with the West Orange Narcotics Task Force, participating agencies of the City of Apopka, City of Ocoee, and ourselves, and the Sheriff's Office. Staff would recommend renewal of the agreement. Basically, we use this group to handle narcotic complaints in the west section of Orange County. This is our go-to for those complaints. So I recommend renewal. Allow the mayor to sign on. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions from the commission? Hearing none, we need a motion.
Motion to authorize mayor and police chief to execute the West Orange Narcotics Task Force.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carried unanimously. You may continue on, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Federal fiscal year 24 Edward Berg Memorial Justice Assistant Grant, JAG program. This is the countywide state's solicitation, has earmarked $289,690 for Orange County. Of those funds, $10,000 is earmarked for the WinterGarden Police Department. And we are requesting to use the listed grant funds to begin transitioning to red dot equipped firearms. As a requirement of the grant program, we must show that 51% of municipalities represent at least 51% of the population of Orange County agree with the distribution. Staff recommends approval for the purchase of firearms with $10,000 from the grant, along with trust fund expenditures not to exceed $5,000, and the mayor must allow for public comment. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Does red dot stand for a laser sight?
It's not laser, it's just when you look through the reticle, you see a red dot. It helps aging eyes, but have to focus on rear and front sides.
So I need to look into that from personal myself.
Yeah. Any questions? And we do need to have, open it for a public hearing if anyone wishes to comment. Seeing none, we will close it, once I remembered that. We need a motion.
Move to approve the purchase of red dot equipment firearms with the grant funding.
We have a second. Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Chief. Recommendation to approve binding lot accommodation agreement.
Thank you again, Mayor Commissioners. This is an agreement to allow the properties located at 620 and 630 Garden Commerce Parkway to be combined into a single parcel. The applicant was approved for site plan approval on April 10th, 2025, and the lot combination as well as the easement vacation that was heard earlier on this agenda were conditions of approval. The lot combination was reviewed by staff, the city surveyor, and the city attorney, and find that it meets all requirements of city code, and therefore recommend approval of the agreement. Available for any questions.
Any other questions from the commission?
Move for approval, Mayor.
Okay, is that a motion?
It is.
And I have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Recommendation to authorize city manager to execute ground lease agreement with 8 Waves.
I would like to remove myself from conversation and voting because there is a conflicting interest with this company and myself.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. 8 Waves, a local nonprofit corporation based in WinterGarden, approached the city with a proposal for a children's museum and inquired about the plans for the city-owned property located at 971 East Plant Street. 8 Waves serves over 1,500 underserved children through an array of in-school and after-school enrichment programs and services that include reading, intervention, mentorship, life experiences, and family support. The nonprofit has outgrown its current location facility and now needs to expand its footprint to include a children's museum. To help facilitate this, the city proposes a 30-year ground lease agreement with 8 Waves to govern the use and terms of this property. The planned children's museum will be constructed in 2 phases, and when completed, is expected to serve 5,000 additional students and families with literacy programs and attracting over 30,000 visitors annually. This children's museum will be a first of its kind in the Central Florida region. With that, staff recommends approval authorizing city manager to execute a ground lease agreement with the City of WinterGarden and 8 Waves Corporation for the property located at 971 East Plant Street, WinterGarden, Florida. Happy to answer any questions.
So what are the out clauses we have as a city if they're not able to uphold the standards that they do for the first 10 or so years? Similar to the Garden Theater. Do we have any out clauses if they're not maintaining the standards that were promised to do?
Yeah, there's some provisions of language in there to cover that.
The terminology has always been used, museum. Is it more like an interactive educational
Correct. And
type of forum? So it's not what we would envision as a museum where you just walk in and there's a baby crib from 1910 and a doll from 1920. So it's more of an interaction, educational experience.
correct.
Thank you.
And let me also say that the founder of 8 Waves and their leadership is also here and can speak more eloquent than I can, certainly about
Oh, I don't know,
whatever.
you're pretty good, Mark.
But it is exactly what you described,
Okay,
sir.
that's just what I wanted to get out, because we've always used the terminology museum. It's more than that,
Yes,
so,
sir.
okay. Any other questions?
It's close to where the traffic light is, right? So there's a safe crossing there of Main Street.
Yeah, 9th Street,
Nice.
Yeah, by the church, yeah, across the street.
kind of diagonal from there, but yeah.
Yeah,
It's the old Wallach site.
Okay.
yeah.
Was that a motion?
Okay, we need a motion.
I make a motion to approve.
All right, do we have a second? We have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries unanimously, 4-0, one. Thank you, sir. Oh, he's still, let's see, board appointment, thank you. Board appointments. Election of the canvassing board.
It's my item. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. This item is for your annual board appointments to the Election Canvassing Board. City Charter requires that the City Commission fill the 4 seats expiring by July 1st. Although there are no scheduled city elections for the upcoming year, an election canvassing board would still be required for that just-in-case scenario of a special election. The appointments are for 2 regular members and 2 alternate members. The 4 current members have all been contacted and they are all still interested in holding their seat. They've not had an opportunity to work, and we don't have an election until 2027, but they still would like to hold their seat. So with that, staff would recommend approval of the 4 members for the election canvassing board, designating the 2 regular members and the 2 alternate members.
Does anyone on the commission have anyone else that want to throw out?
So my motion would be that we just reappoint him as is today.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We will now dispense as a city commission and convene as a community redevelopment agency. Yes, sir.
I will also have to abstain from conversation and voting, for this is the same conflict of interest as well.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, Commissioner, Mr. Kappelman, sir. The property owner, WinterGarden Salon Development LLC of 996 East Plant Street, which is located on the southwest corner of Plant Street and 11th Street, wants to remove and donate a 100-year-old house structure built in 1926 with citrus family heritage, in preparation for the construction of a retail office commercial development called The Point on Plant. 8 Waves, a local nonprofit organization, is outgrowing its current location and has agreed to accept this house to further meet their service needs for WinterGarden under-resourced children and families. 8 Waves is also entering into a ground lease agreement with the city of WinterGarden for the city-owned property located at 971 East Plant Street, which is directly across the street from the house that's being donated. To facilitate the relocation of this house, the city desires to contribute $80,000 towards the total cost of $100,000. The house owner, WinterGarden Salon Development LLC, will contribute $20,000, and relocation services will be provided by Youngblood Building Movers Incorporated. With that, staff recommends approval, authorizing city manager to contribute and pay Youngblood Building Movers Incorporated for the house relocation services in the amount of not to exceed $80,000. Happy to answer any questions.
See if Mr. Kaplan has something to say first.
Your CRA advisory board met recently and reviewed this proposal, and we thought it was a very wise use of to try to preserve the old TM brick house. And we unanimously recommended to the board that they approve the $80,000 contribution to the movement of the house.
Mr. Britt built it. As long as I knew Britt's were in that house. If it was Mr. Britt's house that he built.
I don't know that for a fact,
Okay.
but
I know they've been there a long time.
Yeah, as far as I knew, it was Rick, okay. Any questions from the commission? Hearing none, we need,
Yes, I would move that the CRA contribute $80,000 towards the moving of the house across the street.
Okay, do we have a second? We have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed, motion carries unanimously. Thank you, sir.
That's all.
That's all? Okay. Thank you. We'll now adjourn as the CRA and reconvene as City Commission. Matter of citizens of WinterGarden.
Dave Buckles, 967 Glenview Circle, WinterGarden, Florida. I just want to say thank you to the city as we continue to expand and grow and upgrade facilities and utilities. The other day we had this wonderful contractor boring through the yards of our neighborhood, and I reached out to the city to verify some things, and John, Mayor, Jim, I mean, thank you, because you came out, verified they were doing everything right, but you guys, I mean, within an hour were there. And it's just a blessing and an honor to be a part of a city that'll drop what they're doing to come out and take care of their citizens just that quick. So I just want to say thank you for what you guys do.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Denise Falk. I live at 261 Center Street, WinterGarden, Florida, 34787. I'm the president of WinterGarden. I just want to say thank you for an amazing event Saturday. Change is good, and we are better together. I loved it. I was there from 10 to breakdown, almost 2 o'clock, so thank you. Change is good.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening, Commissioners and Mayor. Mike Van der Kapeel, owner of WinterGarden Salon Development, 996 East Plant Street. I just wanted to commend you and everyone that worked within the city of WinterGarden. The beautiful win-win-win situation that we've created with the CRA, with the nonprofit, with private capital, and the city's blessing and work as well. These are the types of joint actions together that definitely help the community grow and make WinterGarden what it is, which is an exceptional place to both live, work, play, volunteer. So, good job. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Ken Brown, 432 New Heart Circle, WinterGarden. Wow, you guys are doing great, right? And I also want to compliment, I had a experience this week where I'm getting a pre-permit application to put an above-ground pool in my house. And Colleen, Ellen, and Yvonne and the plan and permitting department are fantastic. They were so helpful because the new process that you have with BS&A is really, really complicated. And they really helped me through that process, and I really want to compliment them.
I'm Valerie. Hi, Valerie.
And Valerie? I'm hearing things, I'm sorry. And I didn't drink. But I do want to mention one thing about BS&A. When I was going through my pre-application, it still listed the previous owner as my home. And I checked with the city, and the city said, well, that's a county deal. I checked with the county, and the county said, well, we notified the city back in April of the change. But unfortunately, it didn't get the BS&A. And I'll tell you, it's really nervous when you see somebody else owning your home.
Yes.
So just add that. But I didn't want to take away from the excellent work. I'm going to tell you something. I came from a town of 3,600. This town has about 26,000 people. And when you come, there's 50? you gotta contact the Census Department. Even though it's, okay, 50,000, even better, but when every opportunity I've had to come into City Hall about anything, you still have that small town effect in treating your residents, and it's complimentary, and I hope it never changes. Now to some serious business. Mr. Williams, thank you for sending me the traffic report from the program that we're talking about on Oak Glen Boulevard. I do have a couple questions. Number one, it listed that about 78% of the vehicles traveling that street are going under 25 miles an hour. I believe most of them are golf carts. So when you look at that today, just think about that. I think most of them are golf carts.
We've all had that discussion about the golf carts.
Because about 20% are doing higher than the speed limit. I'd like to make another maybe recommendation, and I don't remember which of the commissioners mentioned that the expense of installing those speed humps, I can't believe $15,000. I should have gone into that business. Another recommendation, which I think would almost serve the same purpose of the traffic calming devices versus the speed humps, is to install a three-way stop at the corners of New Hearth Circle. It's really not a corner, it's a three-way, so it's not a corner. But on New Hearth Circle, which is an exit, the second exit off of Division out of my street, which is kind of in the middle of the road. And then also a stop sign at, I believe it's called Heathrow Street, which is the exit out of Culverton, the neighborhood behind us. I think that would serve as a traffic calming device at a very inexpensive cost. And it would eliminate the need of a speed hump. So maybe Mr. Williams, you can kind of look into that.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. And then finally, I am so against the state of Florida trying to attack local rule. And I'm as a resident of the state of Florida and as a resident of the city of Winter Garden, I'm really concerned about the governor's new proposal to eliminate property taxes. You know where that burden's going to fall on, right? It's going to fall on the residents of the cities of the state of Florida. And I would really highly recommend that the city of Winter Garden create a resolution to our state legislators opposing that ruling. Because I'm going to tell you, we got to pay for our infrastructure, we've got to pay for our roads, we've got to pay for our fire, our police, everything. Where is that money going to come from? And the governor, I think, ill-spoke when he said that people own their homes, they shouldn't be taxed again for something that they already own. It's not a tax on what you already own. It's a fee of services provided to the residents of both the state of Florida and the cities. So I don't know where it's going to go up the state of Florida. I don't know if maybe it'll die before it gets proposed, but I think the sooner the cities react in opposition to it, the better.
We have one meeting today on that with all of our surrounding cities and our state representative.
And with that, thank you.
And thank you. And anyone else?
I was over there crying, so if it looks like a mess, just, excuse that. But my name is Sarah Meyer, and I just simply want to say thank you so much. I'm Executive Director of 8 Waves and the Children's Museum. And this is just going to be such an incredible program for not only Winter Garden, but for the children of Winter Garden. Just to paint a picture, Mayor, it is a hands-on from the moment they enter, from the moment they leave. Every inch will be thought about. Even the stairs and elevator, no place is not okay for them to touch. So a pretend fire truck, pretend police car, an airplane. So it is a true classic children's museum with the emphasis of helping local children.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening all. I'm Noreen Dworkin, Editor-in-Chief of Vox Populi, WinterGardenVox.com. First, I wanted to just say for a moment, Vox Populi was nominated as a finalist in the Society for Professional Journalists Sunshine State Awards. second time being nominated. Last time we won in our category. Next, I want to say that I was very proud of WinterGarden. You guys rescinded the trespass notice against Kate Bennett, and that made me very proud to be part of WinterGarden. So you stood up for the First Amendment, and you took a look at something that was a mistake, and you walked it back. So I'm very proud of that. And I would like to see that extended. You're laughing. You know where I was going with this.
You want to get rid of VIP?
What I'm going to ask you to do is take a look at resolution 2202, the media rules, which prohibits journalists from asking questions of our elected officials here in WinterGarden, the only city that requires this. Prohibits journalists from asking questions before a meeting, during a meeting, and after a meeting. This is the only city that does this. So, I understand the need for decorum in order to get city business done. I do. Otherwise, it would be complete anarchy. But you have a law on the books that you cannot enforce. I ignore it. I stand here and I ask questions all the time. You attempted to ban me from meetings, and that did not go very well. You got dragged in the media. If you actually ban me from the meeting, there will be a lawsuit, which you will lose. Precedent shows that you will lose that. Sir, I didn't hear that. What would you like to
So
say?
that's the way to influence people.
You have been told by constitutional scholars, legal experts, and the First Amendment experts, and civil rights experts that this law is unconstitutional, not only for the US Constitution, but for the Florida Constitution. There are only 4 ways that you can influence public comment. You can dictate when it occurs during the meeting. You can dictate how long somebody has to speak. You can dictate the method in which people wish to alert you guys that they want to speak. And you can dictate if many people want to speak on the same topic. That's the only parameters that you can put on public comment. I even asked Dan Langley, our assistant city attorney, via email to show me, because I'm only a reporter, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a legal expert, I'm only a reporter. I asked Dan Langley in an email to show me where in the statute it allows this commission to bar me from asking questions before, during, and after a meeting. And what Mr. Langley told me was that commissioners had no obligation to respond, which was never in question, and I absolutely support. So, I was so happy to see that you rescinded the trespass against Kate Bennett, who is merely exercising her free speech rights and her First Amendment right to be at the farmer's market and interview people. We have a story that we'll publish later tonight about this. I don't agree with Kate Bennett on much, but I absolutely support her right to be in a public space and ask people questions. So, please, I'm asking you to reconsider this unconstitutional resolution. Let's rewrite the narrative on WinterGarden. Let's make it a place where you support the Constitution. You took a very good first step. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time.
Anyone else? Okay. Oh, go ahead, just a minute.
Sorry. First of all, good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I did first want to thank City of WinterGarden. A few years ago, we were one of the first subdivisions, which is Westside Townhomes, that was allowed to partner with Pet Alliance to use their neuter pet, the whole spay neuter program. I am happy to report that 2 years later, I think I've only heard of one litter that we've had in the community.
Correct.
It has made a huge difference. I hope that you guys will continue to support them and hopefully continue to help pay or subsidize for cats to be fixed, because unfortunately, we live in a community that a lot of the kids don't like cats, and we deal with abuse. And, we get abused, cats get abused, so we appreciate that.
Well, that was my wife that was applauding. So.
Oh, thank you, I appreciate that. Then we're gonna go into what I'm here for, which as a resident of Westside Townhomes, and we had an incident again this week, a month before the first shooting that happened last year, that ended with a death. I unfortunately watched the whole thing unfold because I live on that street. It was traumatic, it was shocking, and we came and met with the city manager, police chief, code enforcement, and the city planner. We raised red flags because we came specifically to discuss the issues that we have in our subdivision, especially with drugs, especially with kids running rampant, doing whatever they want. We've called the police, many of us have called. We always have police officers show up and say, we don't know the difference between what city streets are and what property is owned by your residents. They can't enforce things because they just don't know. So we discussed having markers put down. We did get some marking down. Unfortunately, going back through what my attorney was able to locate on City of WinterGarden when we turned over the streets, where the marking is actually right in the middle of City of WinterGarden property. We asked for other things like something to control the speeding in the subdivision. I brought, 20 videos of people who don't even know how to use a turn signal, or will make a turn without stopping, and then realize, oh, I have to turn my turn signal on. We've had kids racing, motorcycles, these e-bikes. They don't even stop. They don't wear helmets. Down the middle of the street. My husband's coming up the street, and there's no place for this kid to go. And he was trying to get my husband to move out of the way. Why does my husband have to drive off the road for a kid on an e-scooter? So my husband said, you know what, let's play chicken and see who gets out of the road. The kid went off the road, and he had an accident. And you know what my husband said? Bye-bye. Because the person who gets that roadway is the vehicle, not the kid who's not obeying the rules. We've also complained about noise. I brought video of my next door neighbor. I work from home. I don't know why he has to have a car wash for 4 hours where he has the music so loud that I can't even have a meeting with the people I work with, because all they hear is this vulgar noise. And again, it's one of those things where if the police shows up, they roll down their window and they listen. And if they don't hear it, it's not loud enough to them, which in the vehicle, I would assume, sometimes the music may not be loud to them, but I can hear it through my walls. So it's loud, and I thought, I have the right to call and complain, and it doesn't seem like anything happens. We also addressed the fact that our HOA, the legal representation that we have, they refuse to enforce our covenances. They refuse to enforce the CCRAs that we have in place. They keep telling us that we have to call you guys. And they say that they're calling, and you're ignoring their calls, that you're not helping us. And some of us are calling. I've called more times in the last 2 years, and I've lived in this subdivision since 1991. I've never called the police department as much as I have over the last few years. So now, having raised our voices and begged and pleaded for help, and now we have a second shooting, a second death, drug-related, I sit and I think to myself, did I really hear what I thought I heard? And I go back and I hear pop, 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 pop. And I can hear it as clear as day. And I'm thinking to myself, what do I do? How do I protect myself? How do I protect my family? I don't have the means to sell my house and go someplace else, because where am I gonna get the money to put a down payment down? They want 20%. There's no house, if you want a decent place to live out of what Leesburg residents call is West Side, what do they call ours? They call our subdivision, or they call WinterGarden, Pine Hills West. That's how they address City of Winterford. And I'm insulted by that. And I say, listen, I've been a resident for a long time. I watched the city go from nothing to something. And now I feel like we've taken so many steps backwards because we're not being helped. Who do we need to call? What do we need to do? Because we've run out of ideas. I mean, we just don't know what to do. We're begging for help. We do not want another shooting. I don't want it to be me. I don't want it to be my friends. I've known people in this subdivision for years. This is my family. And we're having to look out to make sure that, oh, don't go out yet. I see people out there. I don't know who they are. I mean, this is how I'm supposed to live. This is ridiculous. This is City of WinterGarden. This is not the middle of Montana where, you know, it's a Wild West show. This is City of WinterGarden. This is one of the biggest developing areas in Central Florida. Why are we living like this? It's ridiculous. So what I'm asking for is something to prevent people from driving down the roads at 50, 60, 70 miles per hour. We hear it at night. It's like, I feel like I don't go to the races, but there are some nights where I swear people are revving their engine and then peeling out. And it's like, these roads aren't that long. They're not paying attention to what is out on the road. I watch it every day. Kids diving to avoid getting hit because there's no sidewalks. There's no place for them to walk. Please, please. If we need to have a meeting with our HOA board, because we asked for that too, and I guess they refused us to come and join the meetings as homeowners, but we can't get the attorney to help us. We can't get a straight answer from the board. You guys tell us one thing, they tell us something else. What do we do?
So, I want to kind of set the record. So every time there's a call for service, we respond. Number one. Number two is, when we're presenting video evidence of somebody allegedly speeding or loud music, if the officers respond or code enforcement responds and there is nothing, we can't cite somebody based upon the video evidence. With respect to the HOA, I don't know that we have a legal recourse that we could even pursue. I can certainly talk to Dan after the fact about your HOA not enforcing your deeds and covenants. That is an action that you as a homeowner and the rest of the homeowners can take against your HOA. With respect to the markings and the paintings, we went off the plats. We went off of the surveys that were provided to the city when those streets were turned over. We did have a meeting with your HOA and with your HOA attorney. We presented them with the areas in which it would delineate public right-of-way versus the parking issues that you were in here previously to address. So that is their area that they would enforce. We would enforce parking within those boundaries. With respect to crime in the community, the chief provided some stats. I'll just read them off for the record. June 1st, 2019 through December 31, 2019, there were 6 felonies. These are felonies, chief?
Yes, sir.
And then there were some 15 were in reference to vehicle burglaries and stolen vehicles. In 21, there were a total of 5, 2022 total of 6, 2023 total of 2, 2024 total of 6, and then June 1st through this year, there was 2. So there's kind of been a little bit of a downward trend so far this year. So we're certainly willing to meet with you and certainly willing to dedicate the resources. With respect to the speeding, we've already conducted some speed studies out there that did not warrant the installation of speed bumps. We will certainly come back out there and conduct those speed studies again. With respect to somebody not turning their traffic signal on,
Oh, that's not even the, I mean, that's the least of my
Yeah.
concerns, which direction they're going. They don't even stop at the stop sign, so what's the point of putting a turn signal on? You're just gonna plow right out in the street anyway. What is that, a warning to tell them that you gotta jump out of the way before we plow into the street? Also, like I said, I tried to retain an attorney to help, and all they got, I mean, the HOA tried to drag us to court, and then they backed off. Oh, well, we don't wanna go to court. What do we need to do to settle this? Enforce the covenants and do something. I brought up in the last board meeting, which I recorded, and I pointed out that the document that was presented and you guys approved, which was the taking over of the streets, also included common areas and easements. Well, the easement is from our property line to the actual street. You guys know where our property lines are. When we talked to the attorney and we said, why is that line there? You guys had to have approved this. You know where our property lines end. You have this gap between our property and where that street where it said, or the line that's been put down where it says no parking, but the no parking is on the street side. It's not in that area because I don't know how many times I've got to leave and I've got an Uber driver parked sideways, blocking me completely in. And I've got to go out there and I'm like, listen, you can't park here. This is a no parking area. This is someone owns this property. You've got to get up. Oh, I'll just be a minute while I finish work. I got to leave. I don't have a minute to wait. I have doctor's appointments. I have a life to lead. I got to go to work. Get out of my spot. And I don't want to have a confrontation with someone that I don't know. I don't know if it's a Uber driver. I don't even know if it's a part of any of the shootings that have happened. Please get out of our way.
Y'all, you need to come in and sit down with the chief.
Okay,
and John.
thank you.
Yes, ma'am, I think, because, yeah, the issue is time the police get there, and I understand what you're saying, we've had that.
I know they get there
quit
and they
and
don't
move on,
know.
but Yes, ma'am, you'll do that. Okay, anyone else?
Good evening, everyone. Robin Clark, I also live in Westside Townhomes. And it just seems though every time we've had meetings with the few of the people that are in attendance today, police chief, city manager, Steve Pash, our engineer, code enforcement. It just seems as though that when we bring things to your attention, like Maria was saying, they're red flags. We're trying to make your jobs easier. We're trying to get your attention to let you know the things that are happening in our area where we live. I'm very, very happy the people that have spoken before us are having a good response. They're not living what we're living. I don't know if y'all have been watching the news, but it's out of control where we're living. I pay my taxes just like everybody else does. I used to work for the city of WinterGarden as a code enforcement officer. I tried to do the best job that I could. That's all I expect from my city now, to help take care of me. I'm ready to just ask the city of WinterGarden if they would like to purchase my home and use it like as a police substation to be in that area of town, because that's how bad it is. We're living it. These people aren't living it. You're not living it. We are living it. How many times have I come to y'all? How many times, Chief, have I come to you? When you first came on board, I came to you and asked you for help. I went on Channel 6 News and looked at the camera and said, Chief, please help us over here. Please, one more time. This is like the 5th time. But I've never come before the commission.
No.
It's been private meetings. I go to my city manager. I met with my commissioner at the last meeting that I saw her at and introduced, told her I voted for her. She wanted me to show her around her district. I've yet to hear from the woman. I just don't think that's a good rapport with city and city residents. I've been living here for 24 years. This is where I retired from. I retired from the city of WinterGarden. And this is how I get treated? I don't get it. I really don't get it. But that doesn't matter. That's all in the past. I can only go from here. And like I said, my last words to y'all, and I always say it, I am not right about everything. All I'm doing is trying to help make things get right. Why don't you appreciate that? We're trying to help. We're trying to help. And yet we're turning to deaf ears, but maybe not after tonight. Because now I'm speaking to people, a group of people, as opposed to 3 or 4 in a special meeting that they were kind enough to give us the time. That's all I can say. That I just wanted to let you know that, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. We'll be out. Anyone else? Close the public meeting and go to our city attorney.
No report tonight.
Okay. City manager.
A few brief items, Mayor. Resolution number 2507, copy of which has been placed on the dais. I would like to add that to the agenda tonight for your consideration. And it's related to designating me as the administrative official authorized to approve plats and replats, which is reflective of the current law that was approved by the legislature that will take effect on July 1.
Will our city attorney please read the title?
Resolution number 25-07, resolution of the city of WinterGarden, Florida, designating the city manager of the administrative official authorized to approve plats and replats pursuant to section 177.071 Florida statutes, providing for conflicts, severability, and an effective date.
I'll say the first, I have no idea what the state's doing or why they're doing it. But I really don't. I don't understand this whatsoever. But I don't know what choice we have.
I think there's not much choice, and I think in their infinite wisdom, it will expedite the development of property.
Maybe not. So, okay. Any questions from the commission?
We don't have much left to develop.
That is true. We need a motion.
So moved.
Motion to approve. We have a second.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Other item is on the dais, I placed the Duke Energy Neighborhood Energy Saver Program. It is a program to assist families in income eligible neighborhoods by installing up to 20 free energy improvements. This is just information for you to be able to take a look at and then ask me any questions. This is obviously a program that they want to come in and offer to the city. And they will be following back up with us with specific dates and along with advertising so we can get this service out. So if you just let me know if you have any questions, thoughts, or concerns. And the last item, I think everybody is fully aware of the incident that took place last Saturday at the farmer's market. And I just wanted to offer a comment of support, gratitude, and thankfulness to the officers that were on scene and with that incident, the chief and the entire PD. It's a tough job, and I know that we've all felt some of the criticisms and experienced some of the criticisms and the emails that have been coming in, and I just want to say thank you for the great job that you do.
Commissioner Sherman. Commissioner.
Just to say thank you to staff for all your hard work. Thank you to our police officers and first responders for putting the city first. You guys are important to us, and just thank you guys.
Commissioner Jones.
Thank you for the police department and all the first responders and everybody in the city for all the amazing work you guys do. We really appreciate you.
Commissioner Beck.
I'll second that. And also the great Juneteenth celebration that we had, another great event by staff. It was a good turnout. We need to get misters or something. It's so hot.
It is hot.
That and Memorial Day. It's always hot.
Yes, Memorial Day is hot.
I'm that age and a woman. I need misters.
I'm that age as a guy.
I'll get you a little fan on your squirt bottle.
There you go, thank you.
Yeah, I do want to thank our city staff and everyone involved in Juneteenth. That was great. Apology to our city manager and chief. I got up on there and get nervous talking. I didn't recognize y'all sitting out there, and I should have. So I want to apologize for that, but y'all were there and our whole staff was there and it was great. And I also want to offer support for our law enforcement officers. I think they do a great job in town. And, you know, they were just following what has happened to everyone in the past and what they thought that I think the agreement read. But on the flip side, that what's really disappointing is we can agree to disagree on things, but the people and how upset, the terminology, the calling the house, the profanity, it's just sad that we as a nation, we as a people, we as a human race have come to that. And for me, it's okay, but when my wife and grandkids have to bear it and listen to it, it's not right. And I'll be quiet there, but that will adjourn.